The disrespect is continuing for the Boston Celtics as now Shaquille O'Neal has said the Celtics have had the easiest way to the path to winning a championship. Talking to Udonis Haslem saying, can they back it up? Can they win again? Talking about other teams that are going to bounce back. Well, Joe Mazzulla is here to shut that down, and I'm telling you right now, this Celtics team is ready to defend that title. They have been the topic of disrespect this entire offseason, and it is absolutely ridiculous that after Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown won a championship still together, this season, the disrespect is still continuing with this Celtics squad. So we're going to dive in, look at this, look at Shaq's claim, and discuss the other teams that he brings up and why I think the Celtics can beat all of those teams. All of that and more on this episode of Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Velez. You guys have been absolutely fantastic showing your love and support for the channel, so we're going to dive in and get into the news right for you right here. Like I said in the introduction, Shaq said what? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Shaquille O'Neal is now talking bad about the Boston Celtics, and this is not the first time we've heard an ex-Boston Celtic on the media this year talk bad about their old team. So let's dive in and let's look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Courtesy of Clutch Points on Twitter today, saw this. Every fan was in uproar. Shaquille O'Neal talking to Udonis Haslem on his OG's show and said, we all know Boston had the easiest run ever to that championship. Udonis Haslem, who played for the Miami Heat multiple seasons, once again that Boston Celtics team in Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, basically the last 2 to 3 years in the conference finals, is obviously going to side with them and say, they did. And Shaq says, can they back it up? Can they back it up? Oh, I don't know. And we're going to look at this article as well from Trevor Haas of Boston Sports Journal, where Shaquille O'Neal then wondered if the Sixers, Bucks, Magic, or Heat would have something to say about the Celtics repeating. Oh yeah, Sixers, Bucks, Magic, and Heat. They're ready to say something. Not any of the team, not the team in the Eastern Conference Finals that made it there, that in the Indiana Pacers. No, Shaq. Let's forget about them. Let's not talk about them. Let's completely wipe them off the face because, oh, if Milwaukee and Philly were healthy, they wouldn't have been there. Okay, like this is the type of media stuff that everybody just engages with and talks about, and it's really ridiculous at this point, honestly. Like the Celtics were the best team in the NBA. Let's not get it wrong. The number one seed in the Eastern Conference, guess what? Has the easiest path to a championship. The Nuggets had it when they were the number one seed. Other teams in previous years when the Warriors were the number one seed in the Western Conference, they had the easiest path to the championship. The Cavs had the easiest path to the championship. When Shaq was on the Lakers and with Kobe and was the number one seed, they had the easiest path to the championship. Yes. When you're the number one seed, you play the 8 seed, you play the worst team. No crap, you have the easiest path to the championship. Let's not forget that Shaq also picked the the Mavs to beat the Celtics in 5 before the finals even started. So, buddy, you were on the side of the team that was supposed to beat the Boston Celtics saying, oh yeah, this team is going to lose. They're not going to be able to handle Kyrie and Luka Doncic. And then when they lose, you say that they had an easy path to winning, claiming that the team that they beat wasn't good enough, even though you picked them to originally win. I don't understand. It's just ridiculous. The hate on this Celtics team just cannot stop. It will not stop. All of the last couple of years, oh, can Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum win together? They finally win together. Then it's, oh, Jayson Tatum isn't that good because Jaylen Brown won Finals MVP and Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Jayson Tatum isn't that superstar, which is ridiculous. And then we get to Team USA and Jaylen Brown is snubbed and, oh, Jaylen Brown isn't that guy. To then Jayson Tatum getting benched and everybody clowning Jayson Tatum once again. It's just more and more motivation for these guys, and I can't wait to see them display this season, because let's not forget, the Boston Celtics just won an NBA championship, and regardless if they went against some injured teams, that's something that they cannot control. Secondly, they won that NBA championship and brought back basically everybody besides 2 guys in Svi Mykhailiuk and Oshae Brissett, who respectively were nice players on this team, but were at the end of the rotation playing the 12th and 13th man. It's not like the Celtics lost a Bruce Brown-esque type player like the Denver Nuggets did a couple of seasons ago, or like KCP this offseason. It's not like they lost a main contributor that is playing 10 to 15 minutes a night for them every single game. They legitimately lost players that were at the end of their rotation, that were playing in sometimes in instances where they needed them, but for a majority of the time in garbage time, even though they were great players in their roles for this Celtics team. So ultimately, this team is coming back stronger, better. Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown are more motivated from their snubbing and all the talk from the outside, and also wanting to defend their championship. Derrick White and Jrue Holiday just played in the Olympics and are ready to go, feasting and ready. And all these guys that just signed contract extensions, and Sam Hauser, to then Luke Cornett and Xavier Tillman and Neemias Queta, are all wanting to prove that they can be quality level big men in this rotation with Kristaps Porziņģis being out and showcasing that this team can still compete. Let me get this straight. This Celtics team is built for a championship. They proved it last season, and they will prove all these haters wrong once again this season. Again, Udonis Haslem talking out of his butthole, talking about how, oh yeah, they did, buddy. Yeah, okay. Anyways, let's get to the next part. Let me know what you guys think. Sorry, I went on a little bit of a tangent there. We're going to dive into some motivation. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, motivation. Because we're going to dive in and look at some of these teams that Shaq brought up, kind of go over where my kind of stance is with these teams. So, Shaq, you brought up 4 teams in the Sixers, Bucks, Magic, and Heat, and they would have something to say in the Celtics repeating. Well, let's discuss this. First, let's talk about this 76ers team that everybody thinks is going to be the top dog next to this Boston Celtics squad in the East. Obviously, bringing in Paul George, Tyrese Maxey's ascension, Joel Embiid getting that max contract. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, will this team be healthy? Will this team be able to say at game 82 in April, when the season is chalked up, that they have Paul George, Joel Embiid, and Tyrese Maxey all ready to go on the floor? If they do have all 3 of these guys, yes, then it is, and they all are healthy, then yes, it is going to be a competitive playoffs. But if one of these guys is out, if not both, 2 of these guys are out, this is a completely different Philadelphia 76ers squad than people are anticipating going into the season, and they will be where they were at the end of last year, competing in that play-in spot, looking to find a way to get into the playoffs. So, yes, the Boston Celtics have dealt with injuries. Yes, they have Kristaps Porziņģis being out. But let's not forget that the Boston Celtics last season had a 100% better record with Kristaps Porziņģis, a positive record with Porziņģis being out in the playoffs and in the regular season. Philadelphia cannot say the same when Joel Embiid went out, because they went from the number 2 seed in the East to the number 7 seed in the East, just like that. Okay? Next, let's discuss the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, let's not get this wrong. Giannis is very dominant, has been disrespected the last couple years in legacy in the NBA due to the fact that he's had to deal with some injuries. Damian Lillard is a very good player, and I think will have a bounce back there this year with Milwaukee having a full training camp underneath him. But the 2 players pictured right here are not those 2 type of players. This is Khris Middleton and Brook Lopez. 2 players that the Milwaukee Bucks not a couple seasons ago had to re-sign to ensure that they were able to keep this team locked up, because if they lost Brook Lopez or they lost Khris Middleton, they would have a gaping hole in their team without money to fill up the role. Therefore, they had to overpay on both these guys, especially with Brook Lopez being looked at and garnered by other teams, including the Houston Rockets, and in doing so, they ended up securing both these guys. Brook Lopez last year did not have his Defensive Player of the Year standings that he did the year previous, and I believe will not have that type of season going into this year as well. Lopez is still a solid veteran center, but does not live up to those expectations that he did a couple seasons ago with being an older veteran. Same thing with Khris Middleton. Unfortunately, due to injuries, Khris Middleton has had some setbacks over the years, and even last season was in a situation where he was unable to play in back-to-backs. The Celtics have a similar case with Al Horford, but Al Horford is on a way cheaper contract than Khris Middleton is, compared retrospective to not playing in those back-to-backs, and Khris Middleton is expected to have a bigger workload for this Milwaukee Bucks team, being that 3rd all-star with not being able to play in back-to-backs, where Al Horford is the 6th best player on this Boston Celtics team on a fully healthy squad. Therefore, those implications clearly show to me that the Bucks might not have the full necessities and depth to combat this Boston Celtics team. And even though they do have 2 solid players in Giannis and Damian Lillard who can compete with Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, can their supporting cast be able to back them up in a series or even in a game to help support them? I do not necessarily know. Next, I'm looking at another team in the Miami Heat. Their main question mark for me is Tyler Hero and their bench. Can they stay healthy? Last season, the Heat suffered an abundance of injuries, and Jimmy Butler is still a solid defender and superstar. I believe that he is, one of the top tier players, but he's also getting older in age. Bam Adebayo is a young defensive prowess who is one of the top tier bigs in the league, but a player in Tyler Hero needs to show that command, needs to stay healthy, needs to be that 3rd star for the Heat to kind of be this kind of wrecking force to compete with the Boston Celtics. And if he's not, then it's just a 2-team duo of Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, which the Celtics have run through year after year after year and have handled year after year after year. And especially after this season with them getting better and the Heat necessarily not really adding any more firepower to this momentum of core, it doesn't really seem necessary that the Heat are going to be able to compete unless guys like Nikola Jovic and Jaime Jaquez realistically turn up and can take over for that scoring production if Tyler Hero is non-existent or if Tyler Hero is just not the same. But unless Tyler Hero, Jaime Jaquez, and Nikola Jovic all blossom into three-tier scorers, I don't see this Heat team competing with the Celtics at all. And the only team that I can really see realistically competing with the Celtics team and has the kind of core foundation too is the Orlando Magic. Now, the Magic have gotten the best of the Celtics in the regular season in the past, even including last season, with them beating the Celtics in a couple of the matchups. And this Magic was as a young defensive prowess team. They built that culture with Jamal Mosley. They have those two wings in Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero. They just got KCP. They have their guard duo in Jalen Suggs, who I think is kind of forming that, nice little duo of that Derrick White-esque Jrue Holiday kind of tandem. And realistically, like I said, I think Orlando could be one of the big forces to match up against the Celtics. Truly, I think it's between Orlando and Indiana. We saw last season with Indiana and Orlando kind of being these young squads. They kind of came through the diamonds in the rough and kind of blossomed and beat out some of these teams like the 76ers, like the Bucks that people were so high on. And truly, I think that we could see that development continue to grow, especially with them having these veterans already instilled. Orlando getting KCP now, Indiana getting Pascal Siakam in the last year, now having a full offseason to kind of ingratiate him with Benedict Mathurin, with Andrew Nembhard getting better. These are teams not to sleep on, ladies and gentlemen. And truly, I think people are really disrespecting the Magic and the Pacers here. The Knicks are definitely a competent team as well, but with no backup center at this point is a big question mark for me, and I don't trust Julius Randle and OG Anunoby at that 4 and 5 on those small ball lineups. But like I said, let me know what you think down below. Celtics disrespect has been absolutely abundant this entire offseason, and I can't wait for the preseason to start up and the regular season to start up to put all this bad mouth and talking to bed. Because once again, the Celtics without Kristaps Porziņģis are still going to prove to be a dominant team in the Eastern Conference, and I can't wait to see them start off this season on a hot note, ready to go. Once again, thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. Let us know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Keep hitting that like button and subscribe button. We really do appreciate it over here. Once again, trying to get that goal of 6,000 subscribers by the start of the season, and we are less than 300 now away from that goal. Has been killing it. Once again, I'm Bruce Veliz. Have a great rest of your day, and go Boston Celtics.